Okay. So for everyone who were able to come in, thank you so much. I'm so happy you were able to make out time to join this month's section of Study Hub Alumni webinar. My name is Chejina Ebele, and I'm the community manager of Studihub's Digital Academy. Now, at Studihub's Digital Academy, we train young persons on premium digital skills so they can get access to high-paying jobs. So if you'd like to upskill this year, there's a link at the comment section, so you can just click on the link and send us a message. Please ensure your mics are muted so that as we start this webinar, we'll have no distractions. Yeah? Okay. 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 We have our speaker. He's here, Mr. Tony Omachonu. He's a strong customer-oriented business analyst, and he has helped so many youths to grow on their various startup programs. Now, he has trained over 150 youths, and he has served as a business coach at Ignite Startup, Studihub, and also Genius Hub Global Initiative. I don't know if you all are familiar with those organizations. They help young entrepreneurs grow and start up their businesses. Now you can connect with him on his social media handles. They are there. If you can see my slides, can you see my slide? Okay. So you can connect with him on using those social media handles there below.
Yes, I can see you.
So, okay. So, Mr. Tony, you are here. Welcome. We hand over the mic to you.
Thank you, Billy. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. Can we all hear me, please? Can you all hear me clearly?
Yes, I can clearly.
All right, that's good. Okay, hear you. So if one can hear, I want to believe that all can hear. All right, thank you so much, Billy, for this great platform you've put together. And trust me, it's not easy to manage. It's not easy to manage such platforms like this, especially in our generation where things are completely digital and so fast-paced. All right, today we're going to be talking about emotional intelligence in the workplace, and I'm going to try as much as possible to bring this to real-life experiences so that we can all learn from what I'm saying. I started my career in 2005, and since then it has been from one responsibility to another, which has brought me to where I am today. So trust me, I have a lot to actually say about being mature in the workplace. Okay, that said, I want to see emotional intelligence as your ability to look beyond immediate outlook or form of a problem or challenge. Now, every issue comes in a unique way. No two challenges are the same because today is today, yesterday was yesterday, tomorrow is going to be tomorrow. So your experiences, the challenges you will face, and the things that you will experience are going to be completely different. So there's no hard cut specific responses that you can have and say this is, in IT, when we are starting a project, there's what we call a risk register, where we identify all the possible risks associated with the project and all the recommended actions to be taken in when those risks occur. It doesn't happen that way in emotional intelligence. because the way you experience something today is going to be completely different from the way you experience it tomorrow. All right. So your ability to look beyond the physical form of the challenge or the physical form of the problem, and take your time to reminisce, take your time to analyze the response you are going to be giving to those particular challenges, is what makes for emotional intelligence. Of course, it's safe to say emotional intelligence is about being mature emotionally. That is okay. You can also say it's your capacity to understand and manage your emotions. That is still okay. It's all talking about the same thing. Now, like I always tell people, life is full of challenges, and the workplace is not an exception. Your life as a person, your family, you have challenges you have to deal with in your family. You have challenges you have to deal with in your relationships with your friends. You have challenges you have to deal with in your personal businesses, and then you also have to deal with issues in the workplace. Definitely, workplace, because it is a place where there's a lot of diversification. Your colleagues are coming from various backgrounds, their experiences are diverse and different, their cultures are completely different. Some of us work with cultures spread all over the world, and you need to understand how and why people behave the way they do. And for you to be able to do this, you need to it's not, you cannot say you're emotionally mature if you cannot take time to analyze a situation. You cannot take time to analyze or isolate a particular issue and deal with it for its merit. Okay, so various problems will be thrown at you at every point in time, both in the workplace and in life. And the way you respond to this problem, I think we can, Mr. recommended that we all mute our mics, except requests for you to. All right. So please try and mute your mics. Thank you. Okay. So the responses you give to these challenges and problems thrown at you by life is actually what defines who you are. All right. Who we are today, like I said, who we are today is a result of the responses we gave to the problems and challenges of yesterday. And who we will become tomorrow is as a result of the responses you are giving to life today. So you have to be very, very careful how you attend to these issues. You have to be very, very careful how you attend to these problems. Because one thing is certain. Once you have given a response to an issue in life, in business, in work, there's no way you can change that response again. You can try to manipulate whatever you want to manipulate, but that is going to stay. It's going to be clear that this was what you said at this particular time. This was what you did at this particular time. So life records it in its register, and there's no way you can delete that. All right? So whatever responses you give to life's challenge is defined by your internal capacity. So first of all, let me try to break this thing a little bit up, okay? Before we move on to the next slides. Emotional intelligence has to do with self-awareness. It has to do with self-management. It has to do with your internal capacity. I will take these three and analyze them a bit before we move on. Self-awareness and self-management are two things that are easily confused. Self-awareness and self-management are not the same thing. Let me start with first self-awareness. Self-awareness is actually understanding yourself, knowing your own strengths, knowing your own abilities, knowing what you can do and what you cannot do. Knowing that, for instance, if you know you have a bit of anger issues, you need to know yourself that, look, I have anger issues. And so you shouldn't place yourself in a situation where anger could be a possible response. So you have to avoid such situations to make sure that you protect yourself from such situations. So understanding yourself, understanding your capacity, understanding who you are, understanding how you respond to issues is what makes for self-awareness. So now for self-management, Self-management has to do with your ability to conquer yourself. Self-awareness, understanding yourself, self-management, conquering yourself. Can you tell yourself, sit down, and you will sit? Can you tell yourself, I'm going to stay here, or I'm going to do this for the next 3 hours, and you will do it? Or can you tell yourself, I'm not going to respond, and no matter what happens, you are able to manage yourself not to respond? That is self-management. So, for reference, even the Bible said something about a man that is able to conquer himself is better than a man that is able to conquer a city. So if that is referenced in the Bible, it means that managing yourself or conquering yourself is very, very important in you being effective in your relationships with other people. So if someone throws something at you, your responses are what your system, your body, your mind understands as a possible response. There's a repertoire of responses you already have. Say, for instance, I was giving an instance a couple of days ago, and I said something like, if someone walks up to you and slaps you, for instance, someone walks to you and slaps you, and then you slap the person back. I'm using this so it could be a bit generic. Now, it's safe to say that I slapped the person back because the person slapped me. But my question is, did you really slap the person back because the person slapped you? Or slapping the person was already a possible response inside of you? It's already an impulse you have not dealt with. So it only took the other person to slap you to bring out that slap from inside of you. There are some people that run into issues. Maybe, I don't know if even if you have experienced this before. Something falls from your hand, and the next thing you scream, Jesus! It's a pre-programmed response. If Jesus was not inside of you, there's no way you will mention Jesus. Some people will not say Jesus. Some people will say, Baba mio. And so many other possible responses that people could give. Now, these are pre-programmed responses that you already have, that you have trained your mind to give to possible impulses when they occur. All right? So, internal capacity is what defines the two things I've said above. I've said, firstly, I've said self-awareness. Then I said self-management. The moment you are aware of yourself, the next thing you should be able to do is to be able to manage yourself. And the only way you can manage yourself is if you're able to build your internal capacity. So if you're able to be patient for 1 hour, then you could learn to tell yourself, I can be patient for 2 hours. If you are not able to see things and overlook them, then you should be able to teach yourself to say, look, I think I should overlook this. I should overlook that. Start with real life things. Train yourself to tell yourself, I can say no. For instance, there was a time I told myself, anytime I go to a party, party jollof and party food, it's always tempting. You always want to eat. So a lot of times when I realize that my level of patience or my level of self-discipline is dropping, one of the ways I try to handle this is when I go for parties. So when I go for a party and they serve me food, I tell myself I'm not going to eat. Not because I'm not hungry, not because I'm proud, but at that point in time, I'm trying to tell myself, you can look this food in the face and tell this food you are not going to eat it. Self-discipline. It's not pride. It's just discipline. I'm just trying to tell myself, I can tell you no, and you will obey me. And it has worked for me severally. Because if you can say no to food, trust me, if you can say no to food, you can say no to a lot of things in life. All right? So, problems and challenges only place a demand on your internal capacity. I'm going to take a flow from what we just said. All right? When challenges and problems come, they're actually only placing a demand in who you already are. You don't learn how to shoot a gun in the middle of the war. You must have trained yourself how to cock your gun, how to reload your gun. You don't learn all this in the midst of war. So you build your capacity so that when life throws challenges and problems at you in work or in life generally, you already have your internal capacity to handle them. If you do not have the stamina, you will keep responding wrongly. So if every time someone does something to you, you see yourself repeating the same response, then something is wrong with that particular impulse. So you need to work on your response to that impulse. If someone tells you the popular saying now, Ogun will kill you, and you're also tempted to tell the person, Ogun will kill you too, Ogun will kill your family, and all those kind of stuff. Cursing. You're not able to tell yourself, no, calm down, sit down, be patient, look at this person, smile at him. There was a day I was driving in Benin. I was driving around Akenzo. No, I drove into Akenzo Cultural Center, and so a young man was crossing the road. He was crossing the front of the car. Sorry. And when he crossed the front of the car, it seemed to him, though to me, please, everything was open. But it seemed to, please, can you mute your mic, please? Whoever is having the mics on. Can you mute your mic, please? Thank you. All right. So it seemed to him that the motion of the vehicle was a threat to him. So he there was a bit of a jolt, and he started cursing and shouting. And I also came down. Of course, I responded by also screaming at him and shouting at him. And when I left that scenario, I sat down and started reminiscing. I do that a lot. I reminisced over what just happened, and I realized that I had a very wrong response to that stimulus. What if, after screaming at this guy, fine, the guy was a bit in size, he was smaller than me, so he would already see that my size was already threatening to him, so he wouldn't pick up a fight. But what if he had picked up a fight? What if he had thrown a punch? And then, of course, I would have beaten him up. And maybe in the course of beating him up, I would have taken a stone and from afar off thrown the stone at my vehicle and broke my windscreen. Now, what if all this had happened? At the end of the day, I would have ended up maybe in a hospital. I'd have ended up maybe at the mechanics or a panel beater to fix whatever damages the guy would have done to my vehicle. One stimulus. Alternatively, what if I didn't respond by screaming back? What if I responded by looking at him and just giving him a smile and tell him, sorry, it's okay. I'm sorry about that. Sorry, I didn't mean to threaten you. He would have said, but please drive safely next time. I said, okay, please don't worry. I'd have gotten to my event, did whatever I wanted to do at the cultural center, and left in peace. Same stimulus. A shocking movement from someone and a curse from him. Two different responses from me alone. One response, I screamed back at him. The other response, I smiled at him. Both responses define a fresh course for my life. From that particular point, my life takes a road. The road through the mechanic, I'm going to be meeting people, different faces. It redefines my day, which automatically redefines the rest of my life. Another response, smile at him. It charts a fresh course for my life. Redefines my day. I go into my meeting with smiles. I'm happy and leave with all the satisfaction. One stimulus, two different responses, two different courses to my life. So, gentlemen and ladies, the way you interpret, the way you respond to the challenges and the stimulus that happens to you on a daily basis really defines your life. It defines who you become. It defines where you find yourself. It defines who you meet. It defines your experiences. It defines everything. You will always interpret questions using your own experiences and understanding. Now, let me tell you this. Who we are today is as a result of our experiences from yesterday. A man who has been burnt by fire will always be scared at the sight of fire. A man who's been knocked into coma by someone who raised his voice will always be scared when you start raising your voice at him. And the first instinct of man is survival. So if his impulse by default is to be scared, the next thing he wants to do is to survive, is to protect himself. And he will do anything to protect himself. So the way you interpret or the way you understand or define a problem will determine the responses you give to that particular challenge or that particular problem. So when someone says something, maybe your boss walks up to you and gives you an instruction, and then you are telling your boss, you can imagine the way he's talking to you. Why should he talk like that? The question should be, why should he talk like that? See, gentlemen and ladies, remember I said at the beginning, self-management, very, very important aspect of emotional intelligence. You can never, I repeat it, and I'm still going to say it again in the course of this training. I'll say it over and over and over. You can never try to tell people the way they should talk to you. Never. Don't talk to me like that has been the beginning of so many problems in this our lives. Why should we talk to you like that? Why? Let me move on because of time. I'm going to dwell on this a little bit. But understand this. Okay? Let me share some tips with you quickly, then I'll move on. Yeah. The first tip I want to share is building your internal capacity. Read, study, analyze situations. Don't be quick to give an answer. Remember this and have it at the back of your mind every time. People, our generation believes that when you have a response to everything, you are smart. You are smart. But gentlemen and ladies, I want to tell you today that a wise man doesn't have a response to every question. Sometimes his only response is silence. So, for you to show that you're emotionally intelligent, you need to first of all, when you encounter a challenge, when you encounter a problem, you encounter a situation or a scenario presents itself, first thing first, take a step backwards so you can see the broader picture. If you are too close to the situation, your view will be narrowed. Trust me, if I move my camera a bit backward from myself, you will see more of the space where I am. You will understand my environment better. You will know where I'm. You could even determine where I'm staying, where I'm sitting. Why? Because you took a step backwards and increased the angle of your view. But when you move too close, you narrow the angle. That's why in a football match, because the goalkeeper is trying to frustrate you as a striker coming towards the goalkeeper, because he's trying to frustrate you, when you are coming towards the goalkeeper, one of the first impulses the goalkeeper will do is to move close to you so he could narrow the angle for you. If he stays back at the goal post, the post will be wide and definitely he can't cover the entire post. So, build your capacity by first of all learning to be silent, learning to take your time to respond. Tell the person, I'm still thinking about it. If you need to pray, pray about it before you give a response. Because whatever response you give determines who you become, determines where you find yourself. All right? The next thing I want to say is this. Everybody is right. Stop thinking that people are wrong. You only know yourself. You can only determine where you have been. See, everybody will filter every situation through the database, the repertoire of their experiences and their knowledge. Take this from me. If I tell you right now that you are stupid, say for instance, trust me, to me, you are stupid. But to you, it doesn't mean that to you should be stupid. It doesn't mean that you're actually stupid. But at that point in time, my definition of stupidity is different from your definition. And I am entitled to my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. So if I define you in a certain way, trust me, I'm taking your behavior through my experiences in life. So when a colleague behaves in a way that you don't understand, he or she is taking whatever he's telling you, or that situation or that scenario through her own experience. Maybe she's having a bad day. Maybe she just finished calling with her husband. Maybe her husband controls her, and she's been fighting to get her freedom from her husband. And then suddenly, in the workplace, another husband is trying to replicate himself. So she will fight back. So everyone is right. It depends on the perspective. Life is all about perspectives. What I'm seeing right now, where I'm staying, is completely different from what Ebele is saying. My reality is different from Ebele's reality. Ebele could be sitting outdoors. She's sitting under a tree, enjoying fresh air. I'm sitting in a closed room. My reality is what I'm experiencing right now. So whatever you are telling me, whatever you throw at me at this point, will be filtered through my reality, through the filters of my own reality, not yours. So you manage your response from your own reality. So see everybody as entitled to their opinion. So when a colleague comes to you and shouts at you, fine. It doesn't mean that you must shout. If you begin to shout back, that means you are giving a response of shouting back. But the fact that your colleague is shouting at you doesn't mean that you must shout. It's not a license for you to respond with a shout. Do me, I do you. An eye for an eye. The whole world will go blind. All right? Next thing, only attempt to manage yourself. Don't try to manage another person. A full-blown human being, you want to manage them? You frustrate yourself. You frustrate yourself in work. You frustrate yourself in life. Right? Sorry about that. Okay, so don't ever try to manage another person at all, because it will only end in frustration for you. So only give people an opinion. That's my philosophy. I will not stop saying it. I will repeat it everywhere I find myself. I'm entitled to my opinion, and I'll always share just an opinion. If you choose to take it, I will love you. If you choose not to take it, I will love you nonetheless. You know why? Because it's just an opinion. That's my philosophy in life and in marriage. My marriage will be 14 years this year, and that's the way we live. She seeks my opinion, I seek her opinion. It is my right to take it or not to take it. It's her right to take mine or not to take it. Whichever her choice is, I have an underlying responsibility. I must be there. All right? Victory is first in the mind. If you can conceive it, your body will deliver it. See, don't tell me that what I'm saying is difficult philosophy or difficult psychology. No. First of all, you need to tell yourself, I can manage myself. I can tell, you can imagine someone just gets up and tells himself, and gets up and dresses up and then he's saying, I never come out today. Make I just come on enter street, and I just go stroll. No value, nothing. To what end? Because society believes that you should be out there, No, no. So first of all, you need to tell yourself that, look, I can. I mustn't follow what society believes to be the norm. What defines what is right and wrong, actually? What defines it? No, let's talk about that. Who defines what is right and wrong? Tell me. Think about it. Once upon a time, someone shared something with me recently. Once upon a time, if you wear a face mask and enter into a bank, you shoot at sight because it's a job that you're about to rob the bank. Today is a law. Without face mask, you can't enter the bank. So how suddenly something that was wrong before is now right? One of the guys I look up to said something some time ago. He said, look, you marry 5 wives in Nigeria, you are celebrated. You marry 2 wives in America, you go to jail. So what defines the limits of right and wrong? So you first of all have to make sure that what is right and what is wrong for you. You. Sincerity of purpose. Your intentions must be right. So whatever response I'm giving to you, whatever challenge I'm throwing at you, my purpose, my intention must be true. So when I tell you this is the way we run in our family or in my home, that is the underlying principle. Given that, your intention. So if I tell you, don't go there, and you decide to go there, you are free to the extent that your intention, the purpose of your heart, is true. All right? Okay. Next tip I want to share. Respond, don't react. I've mentioned this severally over the course of this webinar. Don't react to situations. Reacting will always be as a result of energy. You don't need energy to respond. You need your mind to respond. All right? Value relationships above other immediate gains. Don't look at the immediate satisfaction that you will get from a certain behavior or a certain thing that you want to do. Don't look at that. Value relationship. In my culture, it's believed that a man that has people is better than a man that has money. I'll share this with you. A few years ago, I almost lost my wife. And when we rushed her to UBTH, her PVC was 13%. Understand me? 13%. That's worse than a sickler in crisis. Everything about her was already dry. The doctors battled, did whatever they did, and were able to keep the little blood that was left in her system to keep her brain alive. So the battle began to give her blood. At that point, it was clear getting blood from the blood bank is not going to help. We needed fresh blood from people. Gentlemen and ladies, friends and family members queued in UBTH till 1 a.m. in the morning donating blood for my wife. Money couldn't have got that. Relationship got that. Family brought that. Respect, honor brought that. Not money. So you need to value relationships, because there are situations you could find yourself that money can't help you. You could have all the money that life can throw at you, but you need people. So when someone is saying something, don't say because that is your response at that point in time. Say it in a way that will keep your relationship going with the person. Nobody is a waste. Everyone that life brings your way comes your way for a particular purpose. You may not know now, but somehow, someday, you may need that person, or the person may need you. You don't even know why you are where you are. You don't even know why you have what you have. All right? Okay? Now, I want to conclude because I want to give opportunity for questions. I'm going to be concluding shortly. Let's talk a little bit about empathy. What is empathy? I want to hear thoughts. You can unmute your mic and let's talk about it. Anyone with a thought, a definition for empathy? Let me hear your thoughts. What is empathy?
Okay, I feel empathy is being able to put other people's pain, being able to feel their own pain in your heart, standing in
Okay,
their own shoes to feel their pain.
okay. Being able to put their pain in your heart. That's good. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts? If you have a thought, please share. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. If you cannot speak, you can type. Maybe if you are in a noisy place and you cannot speak, you can type your response. I'm also reading the messages.
Okay, good afternoon, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, what I think empathy is ability to understand one's reason of understanding. So most times people get to propose their understanding and leave others out. So ability to conform yourself to in a platform to get people's viewpoints. I think that's empathy to me.
You get their viewpoint. Yeah, I like that. I like the word viewpoints you used there. All right. Any other thoughts? All right. Blessing says empathy means feeling for others and taking action if you can. Yeah, that's good. Feeling for others. That's another good one. Any other thoughts?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
Okay, I feel empathy is understanding someone's opinion
Okay.
about themselves or about a particular topic or subject, you understand. So, if you can understand them and be able to feel where their shoe pinches them, then you have empathy with them or upon them,
Okay.
something like
So
that.
understanding their opinion, understanding their perspective. Awesome. Victor says is putting yourself in people's shoes. And Iman says is putting yourself in the shoes of others. Why are we all wearing shoes? Okay. That's on the lighter mode. Putting yourself in someone's shoes. Okay. Now let's look at this. Let's look at this situation. Let's look at this situation. If you have a boss who constantly um, is not so good with delegation. What I mean by delegation is when he's giving instructions. There are people. Let me give an instance. I have a friend. Whenever he's talking to you, he will always use the word "you know now," "you know now," "you know now," and he speaks in incomplete sentences. So when you can say something like, "So I traveled to now," and when I got there, now. So I met this woman, now. Now you realize that he has not said where he traveled to, but he just believes that you should know. You get the point. Now there are bosses that are like that. That they just want you to fill in the blanks, enter their thoughts, and bring out the instruction he's trying to give you. So invariably, he's giving you incomplete instructions. Now, in a situation like that, what do you think you should do when you find yourself in such an environment and you're working for this boss? Maybe a good paying job, 500K per month. That's what all of us are aspiring for, 500K per month, and all the various ancillary allowances are there also. And you have this particular boss, he's your direct superior. He's not good at fully explaining himself or what he wants you to do for him. How will you manage? How will you empathize with such a person? This is a real life case study. How will you empathize with such a person? I take the question again. I take the case again. You are in a workplace. You have a direct boss, a direct superior, who is not good with completely explaining himself. He's not good with giving full instruction. He speaks in incomplete sentences and expects you to fill in the blanks and understand what he's saying because you're omniscient, So how do you empathize with this boss? How do you empathize so work can move on? All right. So your thoughts. Anybody, the floor is open. I'm the one throwing the questions now, so very soon you start asking your own questions. So I want to make sure that the questions are.
Okay, so good
Introduce
afternoon
yourself. Tell
once
us your
again.
name so that we can, because we're recording this.
All right, I'm Daniel Ejalonbu. My friends call me Positive
Okay,
Moments.
awesome. Welcome back.
Yeah, from University of Lagos
Wow.
though. I feel in that situation, in that scenario, the place of listening skills come in, and in the place of listening, you will try to, for example, when it says, now, I went to, now, then you'll be like, okay, where did he go to? You understand? It's a direct bus, but you just try to put it in a question format, an open-ended question format. So it tries to complete it, and then you understand from his own perspective without you forcing him to complete it. So when it says, I went to, now, and I met this woman, and then you're like, okay, if what you're trying to say now is you met this woman at, then like, okay, at something like that. So I feel that comes in with listening skills.
You're putting back to him in incomplete sentence so he can complete the sentence for you, right?
Exactly. So you use his own method to get back to him. So because actually when people feel you are similar to them, they feel comfortable with you and want to complete whatever they want to complete and share without you even forcing them to.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my thought.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Daniel. That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, you're turning back the clock and using the same strategy to extract the full information. Yeah, it's good. It's a smart one. But most times it's actually very difficult to listen and analyze at the same time. Most times it's always very difficult. But then anyway, the floor is still open. Who else has the thoughts? Floor is open. I want to hear any other thoughts that's there. What will you do in this situation?
Okay. Well, I just want to be very honest, right?
Yeah, please can you introduce yourself to.
Okay, my name is Ebele Chejina,
All right,
and
Ibili.
yeah, Ebele Chejina. Okay, so to be very honest, if I have a boss that's not able to communicate well with me, I will have a problem with him because I don't know how. I still don't know how. I'm still working on it, Sha, trying to be patient, to listen, right? I'm still trying to work on that, but I know that it may be difficult for me, maybe very, very difficult for me, still really difficult. So maybe, so from now, like what I'm learning now, trying to apply empathy, I think I'll just have to work more on my listening skills and try to be more patient with him. And I'll always ask questions. I'll always ask questions so that I'll try and understand what he really wants me to do. So that's what I'll do.
Oh, okay. Good hear that. We lost most of what you said. We did hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I keep breaking off.
Oh, okay. I'll just write it. I'll write it then.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
that's great. Okay, okay. Who else has a thoughts? I could take one or two more before we begin to round up with my closing remark. Any other thoughts? I could take one or two more.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is David Omachonu. So, something I usually do in situations like this is to, um, like, ask the question back again. Like, do you mean I should do so and so or something else? So, if I get it
Okay.
wrong, the person states exactly what he meant, or if I get it right, the person say, "Oh, yes, yes, exactly. That's what I want you to do." So, I think that's something I found helpful so far, and it works for me.
Yeah. It's very very important. You could throw back. That's a very good strategy. Throw back humble questions back to the person to just get to make sure that you understand what the person is saying. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one, David. All right. Any other thoughts? One more. I could take one more. Anybody with a thought again? Okay. Now, in the absence of no other thoughts, let me say this quickly. The goal of speaking is communication. English language students may disagree with what I'm saying. I'm not an English, I'm not a linguist, so I'm not speaking from the linguistic definition. The goal of speaking is communication. Communication is a two-way traffic. So that's the more reason why when you speak, you need to also make sure that person that you are speaking to is having a full picture of what you're actually trying to communicate, is understanding you. The goal of listening is understanding. Now, a lot of us misplace the two of these things. This is a micro aspect of empathy. Communication is a micro aspect of empathy, and that's why I want to draw the curtain. Most of us we speak at people. We don't speak to people. So most times our communication is actually a one-way thing instead of a two-way thing. And a lot of times when we listen to people, most of us most times listen so that we can respond. We don't listen so that we can understand. Your understanding of what the person is saying is more important than any response that you ever give. Trust me, if you don't understand the person, you will always have or give a wrong response. I was on a trip with one of my mentors, and she's like a mother to me. And while on the trip, she made mention about she felt some people were following us. All right, I hope I have the license to say this. She felt some people were following us, so she prayed, and then she turned to me. I was the one driving, so she turned to me and said, "Tony, lose them." Now, what she actually meant was that I should drive fast or take a detour so that those guys will stop following us, or just to be sure if someone was actually really following us. But because she said lose them, I thought she was saying I should pray. So I started praying. It was ridiculous. But then I didn't understand what she was saying. I was listening to respond. I wasn't listening to understand. So every time you listen to someone, you should first of all try to understand what they are saying from their own perspective first. You understand before you interpret. So don't try to understand and interpret at the same time. You miss his next sentence. And if you're not careful, because, say for instance, someone is saying, I traveled to Lagos, and automatically you have made up your mind, you have interpreted the sentence as I traveled to Lagos. everything you'll be saying afterwards, because you have interpreted his first sentence as I travel to Lagos, everything you will be expecting him to say next, or rather, you'll be interpreting next, will be then what happened. He may not be trying to tell you what happened. He'll be trying to tell you something else. He'll be trying to make a reference. So listen first to understand. After you've understood the entire statement the person is saying, then come and sit down. So when you're interpreting what the person has said, you'll be interpreting the entire picture, the entire sentences, the entire statements, the entire communication, not just a. So most of us, we listen, interpret in bits and in pieces, and then we understand in bits and in pieces. The only time we understand in bits and in pieces is in our relationship with God. For those of us that are Christians, it's only God we understand in parts. It's only God. We are dealing with a human. You're not meant to understand at least communication. You don't meant to understand communication in parts. You understand communication fully. Wait, let the person finish what he's saying. Then, you see, that's why a lot of people when they go for IELTS, English IELTS reading, listening, speaking, writing, they fail. Why do they fail most times? Because when they are reading not reading to understand what the text is saying, they are reading to answer the question. And trust me, if you IELTS exam, there could be more than one right answer. And trust me, you could pick the wrong right answer. So answer could be rightly wrong. All right, gentlemen and ladies, I think I'll round up here. We have just about 5 more minutes before our time is up. And I've taken so much of this time already. So I'm saying that if you're going to build emotional intelligence, you have to be empathic rather. You have to be empathic in your responses, in your behavior to people. Empathy will place focus on understanding others rather than reacting to them. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, I think I'll take the questions quickly before I hand over to Ebele. Or Ebele, will you coordinate the questions? Whichever, anyway. Ebele, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much, Mr. Tony Omachonu. I really enjoyed this webinar I did, especially for self-awareness and empathy. I really did understand. I really enjoyed it. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Ebele. I can hear you.
Okay. Please, if ask any questions. Okay.
Yeah, if you have any questions, please go ahead and
Just take some
thank you,
questions
Bless.
before we move.
Okay, I think I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, if you cannot speak,
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, so
Yeah, we can hear you. Please
yeah, this
introduce
has
yourself
been
and go
very
ahead.
enlightening. Actually, I got different perspectives about the uh, emotional intelligence, a different view entirely. When I filled the form, I dropped a question. Actually, I'm Daniel Jalen. Sorry, my friends call me Positive Moments. So I filled a question. I started a how am I going to put it, a startup, and I got a team of volunteers, but they are not delivering effectively as I expected them to when they signed up, because I stated it in the form that they have to put in their very best. But as a startup, I am afraid to put more pressure on them to deliver tasks assigned to them with the fear of losing them. So I want to know, how do I present it to them that, okay, you guys signed up for this thing, but you are not doing well. But I want them to do well. But in the same time, I don't want to put much pressure on them because the startup is just growing, like it's in the babyhood state. Started around 2 months ago, and if I should put much more pressure, although I do majority of the work, so I'm just trying to know, how do I tell them to at least do about 50% of their tasks to push a lot of progress rather to the startup. So that's my question.
Okay, I'll be blunt and I'll be straight with you. Did you train them after engaging them?
The thing is, they do
Can you
not
hear me?
respond. Even if, yeah, I can hear you. They do not respond if I greet them, so I do not know how to train them. And because of the pandemic, I cannot organize a
So,
physical
see, the fact
meeting.
is this, but you at least you know what you want them to do.
Yes, I know what I want them to do.
Yeah, you can train them virtually. It is absolutely free, and you could do a lot of Google Meets. You can even train on WhatsApp. There's no big deal about that. See, if you don't train them, don't blame them. You cannot place a demand when you have not invested. Nobody, trust me, nobody, no organization, no matter how big they are, will employ you and expect you to begin to deliver immediately. They will take you through a series of training. They will train you. So if the big organizations are training people to build capacity, there's nothing wrong with you as a startup training your people. If you at least know what you want from them, you could engage mentors, coaches. Even if you don't know how to do the trainings, you could engage a lot of mentors. I'm in a circle of mentors, and most of my friends are all mentors. So we are in a circle. And most times when one person has a training, we carry all ourselves and we bombard your group, and everybody is firing away, and everybody is learning from our experiences. Combined together, in my circle, we have over 50 years business experience. So most times when organizations are engaging us, they engage us all together because our experiences are diverse and all that. So you could engage mentors and coaches to help put perspective, help them understand what they're expected to do, and then break your tasks down for them. Don't give them ambiguous goals. Most times as startups, what we do as entrepreneurs, most times our team members, we give them very ambiguous goals, and we don't even communicate our visions clearly to them. So a lot of times everybody is coming with their own micro visions, or rather their own micro understanding of what they think that the vision should be. So clear communication is also very, very important. Very, very important. You must communicate your vision clearly, where you want to go and how you want to get there. So if you're going to become one of the top 100 businesses in Nigeria in the next 20 years, yes, you should be able to plot a path to where how you're going to grow and what skills you be growing to achieve that particular feat, and see how and what roles every member of your team is going to be achieving that goal for you. So give them the responsibility to deliver on those micro goals. All right. So if you don't put such
Yeah.
responsibilities to them, then very, very difficult. They will be running amiss. They'll be running amiss.
All right.
All
Thank you
right.
very much. I think I got that. So I should be clear on the vision and the objective. Likewise, training them on what to do, not expecting much from them.
From the sign. And you don't have the money now to employ those that are assigned. Because if you employ someone like me now, your business will collapse You get the point? So you still need to go
Yeah,
for
I
raw cuts.
understand.
So
Okay.
you're going to be the sculptor. What you want them to be able to do for you. And also understand their own goals too. Because if their personal goals are in conflict with your own organizational goals, there will be a conflict of interest. All right?
All right, sir.
Any
Thank
other
you very
question?
much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.
Any other question?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you. Hello, anyone? Anyone with a question?
Hello, sir.
Okay. I think so. We don't keep ourselves here. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Said when you were talking
We
about
can hear you.
emotional intelligence, you mentioned three things. You said self-management, self-awareness. I could not get the third one. What was it, please? Hello.
Internal capacity is the third. Can you
Thank
hear
you.
me?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
What we simply need to do going forward, Ebele, maybe we'll just take the questions on the WhatsApp group. So you could forward questions that you need me to respond to. You could send them to me and then I'll respond and then you can forward that to them. Okay?
Of course, of course.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for making out time to attend this webinar. I'm sure you enjoyed it. I'm sure you learned a lot from this webinar. Please, if you've benefited from anything you've gotten from this webinar, please share it on your LinkedIn and on Twitter. Tag Studihub Digital Academy, Studihub alumni, and also tag Mr. Tony, of course. Tag them, and who knows, we may have some gift for you, the person who has the highest engagement. And yeah, quick reminder. Remember what I mentioned at the beginning about Study Hub Digital Academy. There are some courses that we are taking now. So if you want to upskill, you can just check at the comment section. You'll see some of the courses that we have now. So thank you so much. Thank you. Send us a message if you have other questions. Just send a message to us. There's a link there at the comment section. Send us a message. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy.
All right. Okay, quickly before everyone leaves, right? Okay, please, if you have any suggestions regarding the next webinar that we'll be having, I would so much appreciate it if you can send us a message. Thank you so much, Alexander. Thank you so much for that suggestion. Please send us a message. We'll be so happy to hear from you. Please do.